Justin Lucas Savage with Backcountry Treks. Today I want to talk about this SPOT Gen3. So SPOT is really famous for making these tracking devices. If you need to get any rescue or any help, you have some buttons for that. So I want to talk a little bit about this, and in a couple of videos from now I'm actually going to be comparing this to the DeLorme InReach Explorer. But for now, let's talk about the SPOT device. So behind the battery door here, very easy to take off. With these clips on here, you have 4 AAA batteries. Now this is also a rechargeable unit. It is not very waterproof when you are charging this, but the unit comes with batteries, but it doesn't come with rechargeable batteries. So if you do want to use the rechargeable ability of the Gen 3, you'll need to get your own rechargeable batteries and toss those in. So now I'm riding the motorcycle out. This is an F800 GS by BMW. I'm riding the motorcycle out here in the mountains of Colorado, and it does not take very long to get into no service. In fact, I'm about 7 minutes from that. So just about everywhere I go, I'm taking one of these devices or something similar. So let's power this thing on. When you do that, you just push the button, and some of these lights might be hard to see, but you're going to see kind of a startup sequence and all of that. Now, you have a couple of different buttons, and the display is very, very simple. You have a power button up here, you have a GPS, or sorry, not a button, but you have a power light, so it's going to flash when that thing's on and working. Then you have a GPS light, and then you also have one with a little envelope being sent through the mail. So that's when you're sending a message, you're going to see that happening. Now you also have lights on all of the buttons down here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those. The most famous one is sort of this OK. So there's an OK with a little check mark. Now all of these are programmable. Actually, I should say 4 out of the 5 buttons are programmable with a custom message in that. So you can set an OK message and choose who you want to send that to. What you're actually going to do is connect the SPOT device over to your computer in order to do that. You're going to program it, and every time you do that you need to connect, so it's going to sync back and forth. It doesn't do any of that syncing over the air. So you can say, doing all right, just checking in, and you're going to hold that button. In fact, when you hold that, again, I know the lights are probably a little dim there, so I just do that, and you're going to get some solid lights, and they went out, and so both of those, both the send and the OK, are going to flash at the same time until that message is actually sent. So that's the OK button. Again, you can do a custom message with that. Somewhat confusing is you have this custom message button, so you can set a custom message and send it, and it works exactly the same way. So you can drop a little pinpoint. Again, you get a little map that you can share out with folks, so you can share out your track, and people can see where you've been. The middle button is a tracking, and that's what actually gets sent to the map if you don't hit the button. So with the tracking, you can set it all the way down to 2.5 minutes, and it will drop a pin on that map to 5, 10, 30 minutes, and 60 minutes. Checking my notes here, want to make sure that I got that right. I have, while I'm testing this, the extreme tracking on here, so I've got it all the way down to 2.5 minutes. Depending on what level of, that you choose here for tracking and some of the other features, depends on how much you're going to pay for the service. Which, by the way, service starts about $15 a month, and you're limited. You've got a 12-month contract on that. So you cannot get in just and do 1 month at a time. You're kind of locked into that 12-month contract on the SPOT. Now, to set all of that up, I mentioned that you have to connect this up to a computer. This was a little confusing for me, and I felt like it took a lot longer than it should have. To this day, when I connect it, it says that there's an update and that I should download it. And I'm connected, and I do all that, and it downloads, and everything seems to go fine. And next time I do that, it always, even if I do it a minute later, it says there's another update. So I don't know if there's a bug there. I've been talking to customer service. They couldn't figure it out. So one other thing I want to mention while we're talking about kind of connecting that up to your computer is that you're going to set up your contacts that way. So there's a pretty decent interface. on the computer. So you're going to log into their website. You're going to add all of your contacts that you want to be able to send these custom messages to. So my OK, my custom message, and then there's a help one here I'll talk about in a second. You can choose who you want to send each of those to. So if I said, hey, there's this help one, I want to send that. In fact, I just got, when I did that, when I hit the OK button to check in, I just got a message on my phone here. And so you'll see that I got GPS coordinates and my message says doing great. So I'm going to choose who to send, like who those contacts are when I log into my account and sync this up. Every time I want to change that, mind you, I have to connect this to the computer. There's nothing synced over the air. Now I have Verizon. My wife and I are on Verizon. We've been on Verizon since 2001 or 2. I don't know if there's anything old on our accounts or something weird happening, but here's how SPOT does this. They're not actually texting. For all of the services for the cell phone providers, if you add somebody to your account that you want to send a message to, you have to ask them who their cell phone provider is, because they convert that to an email. So with Verizon, they're sending that to @vtext.com. So they're doing that. And so if you don't know about that, with your cell phone, almost all of the carriers have this little conversion where I can email myself, it converts it into a text, and then sends it to my phone as a text. Presumably that's done as a way to save some money on that, because they're not actually sending a text. I don't think they have to pay any of the carriers or however that texting plan works. But I ran into a problem because that was sending to whatever my email address @vtext.com is. Neither my wife nor I could receive those. I spent a long time with tech support, about an hour and a half troubleshooting, multiple days trying to get that to work. Could not receive this on Verizon. I added a neighbor who was on Verizon, and I added another friend who was on Verizon, and one out of the 4 of us could receive that. I searched around quite a bit and actually ended up changing the @vtext.com to @vzwpix, so vzwpix.com, and now my wife and I can receive those. So FYI, if you're looking for how to do that and you're having problems, tech support wasn't much help in that department. So behind this cover here, this is a help button. So with the little hands, the little helping hands on that, you're going to slide this open and you have a button back behind there. When you're sending these, you're going to press and hold all of them in order to send. This is a custom button for a help message. So I had a couple of people that were programmed into the help button, and it says something like, hey, I'm doing okay, I'm stuck, I need help. It's not the emergency, it's the help, and it's only going to go to the people that you have programmed into there. The SOS button works exactly the same way. That's the red one. It works exactly the same way, except that's going to notify the rescuers. So it's going to send the local search and rescue, the fire department, whoever is close within your area. You definitely want to check the coverage map, because it works on all continents, but it's not 100% global coverage. So maritime and some of that other stuff, you want to check that before you get this device. So this plots when you do the tracking here in the center with a little footprint, it will plot, based on your tracking intervals, it will plot that on a map. What I also had to talk to customer service about was that it only plots 25 points per page. So if you're going to go out for 3, 4, 6 hours, whatever that is, and you have that plotting, that tracking level way down to like 2.5 minutes, it's going to plot that, but it only shows 25 on a page. If you want to see the next 25, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom, go to the next page, hit a button that selects all 25 of those at once, and then hit another button that says map it, and then you get all of that. So if you're sharing, it gets a little weird. It'd be my preference not to do that. It took me a long time to figure that out, and it was through talking to customer service that actually got there. And I'm kind of a tech guy, so I think that process could be a lot easier. Put all the points on a map. I think that would be a huge improvement to the SPOT device. This does send your trails, your track and everything. You can send it over and create adventures on, I think it's everytrail.com, and you can do some sharing and some interesting stuff by doing that. So you can set custom messages. The really important thing to remember here is that this is all one way. So you're hitting buttons and it's sending. This does not receive, which again, if that's what you're using it for, that's really cool. I think there are some instances where I would want, not very many, but in the case of an emergency, I took a 3-day trip with this a few months ago, and I was off the grid completely for 3 days. If something happened and I needed to know about it and get back, it'd be nice to be able to receive that. So not a downfall of this device, just know that, you know, something like the InReach and some of the other stuff out there will actually receive the messages. This does not, it only sends. Again, not a downfall, just something to be thinking about. The custom messages are limited to 41 characters, so know that as you're going into it. Overall, it's a really cool device. It retails for $150. This is the Gen 3 from Spot. It does just what I think it should do. I think the tracking, as I mentioned, is a little weird. I'd like to see that improved. Some of the setup and the configuration type stuff is really confusing when you get into your account, and another thing I had to talk to tech support for. I'd say the market that I'm in, the features that I'm looking for with a device like this, that this would excel at, is if I wanted to carry something and hit an SOS button if I got in trouble. And maybe, you know, have some of the other features available, like checking in and, you know, hitting some of these other buttons to say, you know, hey, I need some help, you know, that kind of thing. But if you want to carry something, to send some friends out to help you or to send rescuers out to help you, this device works, and it's saved a lot of lives so far. And that is the reason that I would carry something like this. Again, from Spot, this is the Gen 3. I'm Justin Lucas Savage at Backcountry Treks.